I hope everyone is doing well today. Today we are going to make a video about repairing a Mad River canoe. And this is the canoe. This is a canoe that I used when I was young and growing up. And we had a lot of fun in this with my family. But now it's seen better days. The wooden gunnels have rotted, which is a common problem with these Mad River canoes. It's a Royalex canoe, and that means it's got a Kevlar hull. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some new wooden gunnels on it, and then we're going to repair this. But the first thing we need to do is wash it. We need to be able to mark the hull with locations of things like the seat locations, the spreader location. So in order to mark the hull, it's got to be cleaned up because it's definitely seen better days. It's just accumulated a lot of dirt and gunk from being stored for so long. So that's the first thing we're going to do. And then of course we're going to have to go to an outfitter to buy the wooden gunnels. So let's get started. Okay, so you can see it cleans up pretty well. Unfortunately, a lot of the rotten wood was falling off while we were cleaning it, and more is going to fall off. I could even see where some insects had gotten into the wood. So the instructions had said to leave the wood in place, but until you buy the replacement gunnels, and then when you buy the replacement gunnels, then you take one side off at a time. But unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to do that. It's going to be tough for us to mark the bottom of the gunnels and stuff like that. The whole top here of this forward brace came off, but that's okay. It looks like all the seats are in great condition still, so everything looks good. So the next step's going to be going to Appomattox River Outfitters, or Appomattox River Company in Farmville, Virginia, and buying the replacement gunnels. Looks like we're probably going to need a few other parts like the hangers for the seats. Look over here, they look to be pretty rotten. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. And it looks like this handle here for carrying the boat is rotten away. So we're going to need another one of those. That's how you carry the you can carry the boat by grabbing the handle. So we're going to need probably one of those and a couple of the hangers. So we drove to Appomattox River Company in Farmville, Virginia to purchase the new wooden gunnels. And when we got there, we met Brian, and Brian said he was one of 3 Brians that works there, but he's the one who's worked there the longest. Anyway, Brian right there was a great help. He even gave me some tips and pointers on how to do the installation of the gunnels. And then he allowed us to walk around the warehouse. They've got a warehouse full of kayaks and canoes, as you can see, and he said they even have another warehouse across town full of kayaks and canoes. So they've got just about everything there. Brian was extremely helpful, very friendly. They even loaded up the gunnels on our car for us. I also bought the seat hangers and a carrying handle. Appomattox River Company was great. I even called them again when I was installing the decks, and they gave me friendly and good advice. I downloaded the instructions from the Mad River Canoe website, which told you all about how to install the new gunnels. And I bought all the materials, including 150 and 220 grit sandpaper and some clamps. And Appomattox River Company did not have the gunnel guard
so I had to order that from Harmony. Harmony is the supplier for Mad River Canoe accessories. I followed the instructions on the gunnel guard can, and the first thing I did was sand each in whale and out whale with 150 and then 220 grit sandpaper. Next, I applied a coat of gunnel guard with a foam brush, and then after I applied it to each in whale and out whale, I wiped it off with a dry rag. After driving all over town and calling everywhere, I finally found wax pencils at Hobby Lobby. I marked all of the seat locations with the wax pencil and the location of the yoke or spreader and all of the screw hole locations. I also marked the location of the carrying handle.
Well, I've got the seats out, got the spreader out, and I took the old rotten gunnels off of this side of the boat, and everything is marked, and I need to wash the sides of the boat before I try to install the new gunnels because they're still pretty dirty. And hopefully I can do that without removing the markings that I made with the grease pencil on the inside.
I used water and 409 to clean the edges of the gunnels, and the boat cleaned up very nicely. I decided before I removed the port side gunnels that I better measure all of the hanger holes, so I did that so I'd know exactly where to drill for the spreader and seats. Next, I measured the starboard side with a long measuring tape to find the exact center so that I could center the gunnels on the boat. I clamped the in whale and out whale to the boat and screwed it in place starting from the center and screwing in between the old screw holes. By eye, I cut the in whale to fit in place and then shaped it with sandpaper and a rasp. Here you can see the screw holes where I screwed in between the old screw holes, and you can see the clamps, how I clamped it in place as I went along. The large clamp you see was just to hold the boat together the correct width. I had to look at a lot of pictures online to see how the ends of the out whale should be cut off. I did it at a 45-degree angle just past the last old hole that was there. I think if I did it again, I would probably cut it off a little longer, maybe another half an inch or an inch. You can see in the pictures how I used a putty knife to keep the saw from cutting into the hull. Next, I removed the port side gunnels. I cleaned off the boat and attached the port side in whales and out whales in the same manner. After clamping them in place, I screwed them from the center, countersinking the holes, and I had to cut the in whale to fit and the out whale. Here are both gunnels installed on the boat. Next, I drilled holes to install the carriage bolts to hang the spreader and the seats from the in whales. For the front seat, I had to install the new seat hangers. It turns out I will probably have to buy new seat hangers for the rear seat as well.
I cut each of the handles off at about 16 degrees, 15.5 degrees on each side, so they would fit in, and they fit just about in place. So now I'm going to drill holes on either side, countersunk, and then put the screws in. These are shorter 1-inch screws.
I decided to replace both handles because I had enough material and because the old handle was not fitting exactly right.
And this is what the finished product looks like.
Next, I installed the old plywood decks by setting them in place and pre-drilling holes and then screwing them in place with the old panhead screws. I then washed off the grease pencil marks, and on the outside of the hull they did not come off as easily as they did on the inside of the hull, and I had tested it beforehand on the inside of the hull. So I think in future I would probably use a darker pencil. You can see here that the original seats were not in that great of a shape, and I was hoping they would work out. And now I just need to put on another coat of gunnel guard. When we tried the canoe out, the wicker seats had dry rotted and they broke. So I bought new wicker seats from Harmony. I marked them to length, carefully lining them up, and then I cut each side on the compound miter saw. The new seats were about an inch wider on each side, but they fit just fine overlapping.
All right, let's go try it out. All right.